defended his action, saying no lives have been put at risk.
Well, Downing Street said it laments their release, and the White House described the leak as irresponsible. The files reveal details of civilian deaths at the hands of NATO forces. Our security correspondent, Frank Gardner, has been looking through the documents.
Unauthorised, unprecedented, embarrassing. It's been called the biggest ever leak of classified military documents since the Vietnam War. Over 90,000 authentic reports passed to the website Wikileaks by a well-placed anonymous source. Washington has not denied them. So just how damaging are these Afghan war leaks? Well, new details of civilian casualties show them to be higher than had previously been reported. Most were killed by the Taliban. But here's a report from October 2007, a US Special Forces operation. It reads, 1 times local national female child killed in action, 1 adult female killed, 4 times adult males killed. These are exactly the kind of civilian deaths that have caused so many Afghans to resent NATO. Then there are the so-called US hit squads. Here's a June 2007 report on Task Force 373, a secretive US unit trying to capture or kill top insurgents. Clearly sensitive, one is marked, the following information must be kept protected. Now, all of these reports only go as far as last December. But the Wikileaks founder is now talking of possible war crimes.
It is up to a court to decide clearly whether something is in the end a crime. That said, prima facie, there does appear to be evidence of war crimes in this material.
The problem is separating and distinguishing insurgents from civilians. Here British troops fire flares to warn off an Afghan in case he's a suicide bomber. Britain is also accused in the reports of causing civilian casualties. But today the Afghan government tried to sound positive.
We have had some good progress in trying to minimize civilian casualties. And what we hope is, out of this leaked information, that the international community, the Afghan government, for the government of Pakistan, for everybody, that we learn our lessons.
But it's revelations about Taliban capabilities that will most worry troops on the ground. The insurgents, we are told, have access to portable heat-seeking anti-aircraft missiles, the very weapons that broke the Russian campaign and helped drive them out of Afghanistan. Frank Gardner, BBC News.
Well, Dr. Akbar Ahmed is Chair of Islamic Studies at the American University in Washington. He's also Pakistan's former High Commissioner to London, and he now joins us from our Washington studio. Dr. Akbar Ahmed, thank you very much for coming on the programme. Lots of claims being made on WikiLeaks, among them that accusation that Pakistan has been helping the Taliban. Has that been happening? Could that have been happening?
It certainly was happening at a certain stage of Pakistan's history in the 1990s, and there may have been some kind of a leftover of that policy into the post-9/11 era. And we must remember that the ISI is a sort of government within a government, although it's very much under the command and control structure of the Pakistan Army. And we must also remember that while Pakistan is being bashed, as it were, in the media, especially here in the United States, it is the focus right now, the links with the Taliban, General Hamid Gul's role, etc., etc. So Pakistan is appearing as duplicitous, and the perfidy of Pakistan is being underlined. We must remember that Pakistan has its own geopolitical imperatives, and that there is a debate in Pakistan how to proceed. So it's not all pro-Taliban or anti-Taliban.
There used to be a good relationship in the past. It then became rather fragile again. Are we now saying that it's picked up again between the two countries?
Yes. I think right now there's a good phase of good friendship between Kabul and Islamabad, and is characterized by President Karzai having cordial relations with President Zardari in Pakistan. Early on, the relationship between Karzai and President Musharraf was a very difficult one, fraught with a lot of tension.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Pakistani ISI. This is the Inter-Services Intelligence. It's the intelligence agency, isn't it? How much do we know about them? How open are they? How much do we know about how they might be interacting with the Taliban?
Well, this is one of those big questions that you could apply to any intelligence service of any country in the world. It's normally an area which is secretive, kept out of the public gaze. Pakistan has always had an interest in Afghanistan, and therefore any politics in Afghanistan that would seem to be of direct interest to its western border. And the Taliban are Pashtun belong to the Pashtun tribal group and are on the borders between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and therefore Pakistan will invariably have a lot of interest in what goes on in the Pashtun areas, which would allow people like the Taliban to emerge and therefore have an impact on Kabul.
Yeah, we can understand Pakistan's interest in Afghanistan, but these leaks are suggesting more than that. They're suggesting that Pakistan has an interest in the Taliban, and these leaks therefore must damage Pakistan's credibility as an ally to the West.
Exactly. It's a very difficult situation. We mustn't make light of it. In fact, Brzezinski, the great security advisor, if you recall, a couple of decades ago, one of the great commentators in America said today, he said that we must be very careful about labeling Pakistan as an enemy. It is an ally. It's critical to the West. And he said to make Pakistan an enemy for the United States would not be shooting itself in the foot. It would be shooting itself in the head. He meant the United States. So it's a very difficult situation not to push Pakistan over the brink, as it were, and also recognize Pakistan's legitimate security concerns.
Dr. Akbar Ahmed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.